All right, everyone, we're going to start to create our mandalas. On your iPad, you first need to start by finding this app called Assembly app. It's a little icon with a bird. Find that on your iPad and click that. When you're in this menu here, you will bring up an area where you can start a new project. Please do not delete any projects that you see from other students. Just work on your project. We're going to take a look at my mandala that's finished first so we know how to put all these vocabulary words together and what we're shooting for here. So first of all, remember we're trying to create a symmetrical, monochromatic mandala that has lots of pattern. So look at my mandala here. You can see that it is monochromatic. That means it is one color and many shades of that color. So I chose red. I'm choosing dark reds, light reds, regular reds, black, and white. So any of those colors are fine for me to choose. Making sure that this is symmetrical. So every time I add a shape, I'm repeating that shape all the way around my mandala, not just in one spot. And I'm making sure I have lots of different types of shapes to create different types of patterns. Okay, so let's go back to my work here, and you're going to click Start New Project right here. Okay, now that we're in here, I'm going to show you some tools that we can use. So first of all, this white space, if I zoom in and out by using my two fingers on the screen, I can zoom in or I can go farther away out. But remember, this white square is your work area. The gray space is not. So anything in the gray space will not be in your final work of art, only the white space here. Okay, so to start, we're going to go to shapes. That's the little menu down here that says shapes. Everyone, no matter what, is going to start to set up your mandala like this, the same way. So you're going to scroll through here under basic shapes and find a circle. Okay, I can put that menu back down. Now, everyone's going to make this circle bigger by taking that little small circle and dragging it out. And make your circle fit within your square so it's even here from top to bottom and left to right. Now, when I press on the circle, I can move it around with my finger. And notice how those orange lines are lighting up. This tells me that my circle is directly in the center of my white paper when they both line up. So I'm going to leave it right about there in the center. Okay, if I click the gray area, that will mean I will deselect my shape, okay? And I can zoom in and out and see my shape here. All right, now we're going to put some lines in that divide our mandala into 6 different parts. So down here in shapes, I'm going to click that again. And I'm just going to find a line tool. So scroll all the way down to design, I'm sorry, the strokes. Scroll all the way down to where it says the strokes and find a line tool. Okay, now I'm going to make sure that I have this line through the center of my circle. So I'm going to make it kind of bigger and then put it right on the orange part here. Make it a little bit bigger. Okay, now I'm going to copy this line a few more times. So I'm going to go to this little double square and I'm going to click it a few times and that will copy my line. Now I'm going to take my lines here and to rotate it, I'll just click that little white circle and move it around and put it in the center going down, up and down. Now I'm going to take one more and rotate it and go through those two. And the last one, rotate it and go through the last pie slices here. You might have to shift these around to make sure they're in the middle. When that orange lights up, you know we're in the middle. Okay, so I've just made some different pie slices here to build up my mandala. I do want to select that circle though. I'm going to go back to that circle and make it just white so it's not distracting. So going down here to the little button that says Styles, this is how we can change colors. So I'm going to go to this little 3-dot area right here. This is the color picker tool. So the inner circle here, if I move it all the way up, I can choose white. So I'm going to choose white and then click the red check mark up here. Okay, now it's kind of hard to see the outline of the circle, so I need to go now to stroke because I just changed the fill. Now I'll go to stroke and I'm going to change the color of the stroke and then I'm going to make it black and then click a check mark. Okay, so I'm going to click off of my circle here. Now I have my mandala area and it's broken up and I can start to add some shapes now. Okay, so I'll go back to the shapes tool here and any of these lines or shapes that I want to add is totally fine. So I'll just start with some basic shapes like some triangles. And remember, I'm trying to make a red monochromatic. So every time I put down a shape, I have to go back to styles and change this to different shades of red. So light reds, dark reds, black, or white. Click the red check mark. Okay, so I'm going to move this triangle around so it's coming out from the center of my mandala. And it's helpful if you zoom in so you can see where you're placing these things. So zooming is just taking your fingers on the screen and going 2 fingers in and out. Okay, now I think I want to copy this shape all the way around my mandala in each pie slice. So I'm going to go to the copy button and copy it a few times. And then I will rotate these around and put them in each of these pie slices here. So as you're working on this, boys and girls, you're going to be working with a partner, and each time you put a shape down or a line or a color, you have to make sure it's okay with your partner, because this is a collaborative partner project. So you're going to spend about 10 minutes on the iPad, and then you're going to switch and give your partner control of the iPad. But both of you should be okay with what you're putting down. So every time the iPad controller is working, you need to check with your partner to see if your artwork is looking how you both want it to look. Okay, I got my last triangle here. I'm going to move it around a little bit. And I think that looks pretty good. They're about the same size in the same spot. Pretty symmetrical. It might take a little bit of tweaking to make this totally symmetrical. There we go. Okay, so I've got my first few shapes down. I'm going to keep going back to the shape tools and the color tools and picking some new shapes to put into my mandala. So any shapes that you like is totally fine. Make sure you're changing up the colors so we have a variety of monochromatic colors. And keep building up your shapes. So the last step, after we built up many shapes, what we're going to do is we're going to take this outline of that circle and those lines that we put in at the beginning, and we're going to delete those. So I'm going to go back and delete these at the very end, and I will just be able to see my mandala in the end. Okay, so we're going to work on this for a couple weeks. At the end of class today, we're going to go up to this menu here and click Save to Library so we can save our work, and then we're going to go back to my work and make sure it's really saved there. Okay, all right, one more time looking back at my finished mandala. We are not going to be finished with these today. We need to really build these up, and it's going to take us a couple weeks. All right, so let's get started.